Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right. It's law school, Genesis chapter 24. All right. We're going to be talking about the process of Isaac getting his bride, who is Rebecca. All right. So, most are willing, edify, and get something out of the class. All right. So, I'm going to start at Genesis chapter 24 and verse number 1. It says, and Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. All right, 1 second. Let me see some. Salaki. All right, Salaki, y'all. All right, so it says, Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. So all the promises that the Most High had bestowed on Abraham, he had been living up to those promises. Abraham had a son. All right, and Abraham was very wealthy. All right, Abraham was very rich. All right, he had a lot of cattle, a lot of silver, a lot of gold throughout him going to Egypt and Abimelech blessing him. All right, he was able to be blessed. All right, also when he went to rescue his cousin Lot from the men who took him captive. All right, Melchizedek even blessed him. All right, so Abraham was blessed in all things. It says, verse 2, and Abraham said unto his eldest servant of his house that ruled over all that he had, put, I pray thee, thy hand under my thigh. Now, I was looking it up earlier. Why they did that? Why did he say put your hand under my thigh? And from what I can gather, that was a sign of a very solemn oath. All right, that was a sign of a very solemn oath, a very serious oath. All right, where your thigh being where your loins and your posterity um derive from. Right, so that's what I could gather from that. All right, verse 3, it says, and I will make thee swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that thou shalt not take a wife unto my son of the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I dwell. Right? So why was he saying this? Right? Because Abraham knew the law. Right? Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them, neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto thy son, nor thy daughter shalt thou take unto, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. All right, so the Most High gave us instructions about that in Deuteronomy. All right, what about in Genesis? All right, we talked about it earlier in the law school Genesis edition, that the serpent were a serpent-like people and a prototype to the Hamites. All right, let's get this in the book of Genesis, chapter 6. So they had a reputation, even with Noah's son Ham being the one who looked at his father, right? Even with that. All right, so let's get this real quick. Let's build up to why the Lord is saying this and why Abraham is saying this. All right, this is Genesis chapter 6 and uh verse, I'm gonna start at verse 3. All right. Well, I'm gonna start at verse 2. It says that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair. So this is not talking about the angels. This is going into the sons of God, right? The chosen lineage that the Most High had on earth, men, actual men, right? It said they saw the sons of men, the daughters of men, the women of the other nations, all right? It says that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And what's the result of that, right? The Most High said, verse 3, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years, right? And so it goes on to say how there were giants in the land, right? We touched on that earlier in some earlier law school classes, right? But I want to go now to the book of Tobit, right? This is not new wisdom that Abraham has, right? This is wisdom and understanding that the Most High Ben gave to his servants. All right, but let me get this in Tobit, because we carry this wisdom on with us, and we should be carrying it on with us to this day, right? You want to chiefly take you a woman or spouse of your own nation, right? Of the nation of Israel. It's the book of Tobit, chapter 4 and verse 12. It says, beware of all whoredom, my son, right? And chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets, Noe, all right, this is Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even, so it says even from the beginning, that's Genesis, right? Our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land, right? So that's wisdom, to take you a wife, take you a spouse of your own kindred, right? So let's go back to Genesis 24. All right, so verse 24 and verse 3, he said, don't take a wife of the daughters of Canaan, right, among whom I dwell. He like, I see these Hamites, I see how they moving, they stabbing cows and they draining the blood in bowls and drinking. I don't want my son to have a wife like that, right? So verse 4, it says, but thou shalt go unto my country and to my kindred, and take a wife unto my son Isaac. And the servant said unto him, peradventure, the woman will not be willing to follow me unto this land. He like, what if she don't want to travel this far to come back over here, right? It says, must I needs bring thy son again unto the land from whence thou camest? Should I just take Isaac back over there to be with her, right? It says, verse 6, and Abraham said unto him, beware that thou bring not my son thither again. He like, no, I don't want you to ever take my son back to where I came from. I don't want you to ever take him back over there, right? It says, verse 7, the Lord God of heaven, Yahweh, which took me from my father's house and from the land of my kindred, and which spake unto me, and that swear unto me, saying, unto thy seed will I give this land. So he like, no, don't take my son over there. I want him to be here because God already promised me that he's going to give my son this land. He going to have this land that I'm in right now, which was Canaan. It says, he shall send his angel before thee, and thou shalt take a wife unto my son from thence. It says, so get him a wife. The Lord is going to guide you. Don't worry. The Most High going to send his angel to guide you and show you where to go, show you what to do, let you know what to say, and you'll find a wife for my son and bring her here, right? It says, verse 8, and if the woman will not be willing to follow thee, then thou shalt be clear from this my oath. Only bring not my son thither again. He like, if she don't want to come with you, don't worry about this oath you just made. But he knows that the Lord gonna bless and lead his servant, right? It says, verse, what was that? Verse 9, and the servant put his hand. And the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham, his master, and swear to him concerning that matter. And the servant took 10 camels of the camels of his master and departed. for all the goods of his master were in his hand. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia unto the city of Nahor, right? So he took 10 camels are huge animals. I don't know if any of you ever been around a camel in real life, but they big, right? He took 10 of them with him, right? And he went to Mesopotamia, where Abraham was from, unto the city of Nahor, where Nahor is Abraham's brother. That's where Nahor settled at, right? Verse 11, it says, and he made his camels to kneel down without the city by a well of water at the time of the evening, even the time that women go out to draw water. So at this time in the ancient world, our women would go out in the evening when the sun went down. It was still light outside, right? The sun was just down, right? So that's a note to understand. Evening is not when it's completely dark. That's two different times of the day. All right. So evening is when the sun is set, but it's still some light outside. All right. So he's going out, he's sitting by this well when the women go to draw water. All right. It says, verse 12, and he said, O Lord God of my master Abraham, I pray thee, send me good speed this day and show kindness unto my master Abraham. So he praying to Abraham's God, right? He said, bless me in this endeavor for my master. It says, behold, I stand by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city come out to draw water. And let it come to pass that the damsel to whom I shall say, let down thy pitcher, I pray thee, that I may drink. And she shall say, drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. Let the same be that thou hast appointed for thy servant Isaac. And hereby shall I know that thou hast showed kindness unto my master. So he like, look, God, give me a sign. If the whatever the woman is that I'm supposed to bring back for Isaac, let her offer me something to drink, and then let her have a spirit on her to say, I'll get your camel something to drink too. That's what he just prayed for, right? So verse 15, it says, and it came to pass before he had done speaking, that behold, Rebekah came out, who was born of Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, which with her pitcher upon her shoulder. So Bethuel is Abraham's nephew. All right. That's Nahor's son. And Rebekah would be Abraham's niece. All right. So this is his family. All right. So it's like today, it's like, nah, you don't do that. You won't marry your cousin. You can't marry your cousin. Well, back then, that was like a normal thing. You could marry your cousin. You couldn't marry your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, all right? But your cousin, you could deal with your cousin. So that's exactly what's finna happen with Isaac and Rebekah, right? So let's keep going. So verse 16, it says, and the damsel was very fair to look upon, a virgin, meaning she was of marriageable age. It says neither had any man known her, and she was also a literal virgin, right? So she was old enough to be married, and she was a virgin, right? It says, and she went down to the well and filled her pitcher and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, let me, I pray thee, drink a little water of thy pitcher. Now, this is a stranger. She don't know him, right? She had no clue who this man is. Watch what she say. And she said, drink, my lord. And she hasted and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink. So this is a stranger to her, but it's a man. Our women back then were a lot more submissive than a lot of the women today. Some women today are submissive, but it's, if you think about it, back to how this is taking place back then, a lot of times if you go up to a woman and you ask her for her phone number, she gonna look at you crazy. Let alone if you walk up to a woman that don't know you and you like, hey, can I have something to drink? She gonna look at you like you crazy, right? But this woman said, yes, my lord, I can give you something to drink. And she hasted, meaning she hurried up and got the water for him, right? It says, and let down her pitcher upon her hand and gave him drink, verse 19. And when she had done giving him drink, she said, I will draw water for thy camels also. He didn't even have to ask for that. She just volunteered. Now, this is 10 camels. These big animals, big smelly animals, they done walked a long way from the land of Canaan to the land of Mesopotamia. They've been on a journey, all right? These camels ain't fresh. They got a smell. But she said, I get the camel something to drink also. And she was a beautiful woman, what you would call a baddie today, right? She said this the kind of spirit that this woman had. That's why uh Abraham's servant said, the woman that says this will make a good wife for Isaac. The woman that got this type of spirit, right? It says, verse 21, and the man wondering at her held his peace. He was amazed by this, right? He held his peace to whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. So he was still unsure about if this was the woman, even though he see exactly what he prayed for. Right, verse 22, and it came to pass, as the camels had done drinking, that the man took a golden earring of a half a shekel, right, which is about like 6 ounces. It says, and 2 bracelets for her hand of 10 shekels of gold, which is about like was way more than that. Let me look that up real quick. Matter of fact, it said the bracelets was 10 shekels. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look at how much that way. Matter of fact, let me do it like this. 10 shekels. I know the earring was about like 4 ounces. But let me look up. Yeah, so it said the gold nose ring weighing a half a shekel, which is 0.2 ounces. I'm sorry, Salakia, or 6 grams. And 2 gold bracelets weighing 10 shekels, which is 4 ounces, or 114 grams. So I don't know how many carats that is, right? But he gave her a good amount of jewelry just then, right? And she ain't even agreed to be this man's wife yet. All right. So that was essentially like a dowry, right? But not quite. All right. So let's keep going. Verse 23. It says, and said, whose daughter art thou? Tell me, I pray thee, is there room in thy father's house for us to lodge in? So he like, who your people? All right. I need somewhere to stay. And she said unto him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, which she bare unto Nahor. Right? So I'm the daughter of Nahor, and my grandfather is Bethuel. It says, she said, moreover unto him, we have both straw and provender enough and room to lodge in. We got somewhere for your camels to lay down, and we got something for the camels to eat. All right. It says, and the man bowed down his head and worshiped the Lord. And he said, blessed be the God of my master Abraham, who have not left destitute my master of his mercy and his truth. I being in the way, the Lord led me to the house of my master's bread. He like, all praises to the Most High. He led me straight to Abraham family. I ain't even know what I was looking for, who I was looking for, and he led me straight to Abraham's family. Right? So let's keep going. Verse 28, and the damsel ran and told them of her mother's house these things. So she ran over there and told her family what happened. And Rebecca had a brother, and his name was Laban. Now, Laban is going to be the father-in-law of Jacob. All right, so all this kind of just worked out to where this family kind of got together and created children, created us, right? So let's keep going. It says, and Laban ran out unto the well. And it came to pass when he saw the earring and bracelet upon his sister's hands, and when he heard the words of Rebekah his sister, saying, Thus spake the man unto me, that he came unto the man, and behold, he stood by the camels at the well. So he come in, he look at his sister, she got all this glow on, and he like, man, let me go talk to bro. Right? So he like, listen what he said, verse 31. And he said, Come in, thou blessed of the Lord. Wherefore standest thou without? For I have prepared the house and room for the king. He like, look, you ain't gotta stay out here. I already got the spot ready for you. Shalom, King. He like, you ain't gotta stay out here. I got the room ready for you, and I got the space ready for your camels. All right, it's a verse 33, and there was set meat before him to eat, but he said, I will not eat until I have told mine Aaron. And he said, speak on. So he like, look, I don't want to eat no food until I tell y'all while I'm here. And he said, I am Abraham's servant, and the Lord hath blessed my master greatly, and he is become great, and he hath given him flocks and herds and silver and gold and manservants and maid servants and camels and asses. He like, look, I work for Abraham. Abraham is rich. All right, he got everything, right? Verse 36. And Sarah, my master's wife, bare a son to my master when she was old, and unto him hath he given all that he has. So he like, look, he got a son named Isaac, and Abraham gave him everything that he owns. Verse 37. And my master made me swear, saying, Thou shalt not take a wife to my son of the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell, but thou shalt go unto my father's house and to my kindred and take a wife. And I said unto my master, Peradventure the woman will not follow me. And he said unto me, The Lord before whom I walk will send his angel with thee and prosper thy way. And thou shalt take a wife for my son of my kindred and of my father's house. Then shalt thou be clear of this my oath, when thou comest to my kindred, and if they give not thee one, thou shalt be clear from my oath. So he's just running it down. What has transpired up to this point to him sitting down at dinner with these people. And it came to pass this day unto the well, and I came this day unto the well and said, O Lord God, of my master Abraham, if now thou do prosper my way which I go, behold, I stand by the well of water. And it came to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to draw water, and I say to her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water of thy pitcher to drink. And she say to me, Both drink thou, and I will also draw for thy camels. Let the same be the woman whom the Lord have appointed out for my master's son. Right? So he like, look, whatever woman says whatever woman says give drink to you and to your camel, he like, look, that's the woman that is appointed for Isaac, right? Whatever woman that you got, right, with your spouse, whoever your spouse is, that person is appointed to you from the Lord. All right, they literally appointed to you, and it may be good going on in that situation, or it may be bad, but whoever that person is, they literally appointed to you from the Lord. All right, so let's keep going. It says, and before I had done speaking in mine heart, behold, Rebekah came forth with her pitcher on her shoulder, and she went down unto the well and drew water. And I said unto her, Let me drink, I pray thee. And she made haste and let down her pitcher from her shoulder and said, Drink, and I will give thy camels drink also. So I drank, and she made the camels drink also. And I asked her and said, Whose daughter art thou? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bare unto him. And I put the earring upon her face and the bracelets upon her hands. And I bowed down my head and worshiped the Lord, and blessed the Lord God of my master Abraham, which had led me in the right way to take my master's brother's daughter unto his son. And now, if you will deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. So he like, look, I done let y'all know what's going on. Let me know how y'all feel before I dig in this lamb and start eating it, right? I don't want to just eat your food and y'all don't know what's going on, right? Verse 51, behold, Rebekah is before thee. Take her and go and let her be thy master's son's wife. And the Lord hath, as the Lord hath spoken. So they like, look, Rebekah right there, take her. You can take her with you, right? And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshiped the Lord, bowing himself to the earth. So it wasn't like today how, sisters kind of got a choice in who they married. Like, it wasn't like that back then. More so, your father arranged, the father and the mother, more so chiefly the father, was who arranged the marriage for their daughter, right? It wasn't based on whether she thought he was cute or if she, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't based on really the woman's preferences. It was based on the discernment of that father, right? And him understanding the stock that her husband had come from, right? So he said, Rebekah is before thee, take her and go, and let her be thy master's son's wife, as the Lord has spoken. And it came to pass that when Abraham's servant heard their words, he worshiped the Lord, bowing himself to the earth. And the servant brought forth jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment and gave them to Rebekah. He gave also to her brother and to her mother precious things. So that's like the dowry being paid. He like, okay, all praises. I'm gonna give y'all a lot more than what the dowry of a virgin is, but here you go, right? It says, verse 54, and they did eat and drink, and the men that were with him, and tarried all night, and they rose up in the morning and he said, send me away unto my master. And her brother and her mother said, let the damsel abide with us a few days, at the least 10. After that she shall go. So the brother and the mom kind of getting in their feelings. They like, dang, sis finna go, my daughter finna go. They like, let her stay a few days, at least 10. That translates literally in the Hebrew to a year or at least 10 months. So they like, let us stay with us another year. Come get in a year or at least in 10 months. That's what they literally mean, right? Verse 56, and he said unto them, hinder me not, seeing the Lord have prospered my way. Send me away that I may go to my man. He like, look, don't try to hold me up now.